And it also turns out that if we reduce the correlation from 0 to -1, which is the strongest possible negative correlation, we can eliminate all of the variance in our portfolio. Takes it down to 0. So the covariance or correlation is critical in terms of diversification. And it makes sense that the stocks that go into our portfolio, we have to take account of their correlation. Not all stocks are the same. Stocks in different industries will have different correlations. Stocks in different countries will have different correlations. In some of my research, I calculated the correlations between countries and found reasonably high correlations between countries that are fairly well linked, like Canada and the United States, and fairly high correlations between the United States and developed European countries. So, while the correlations are, I say high, but they average 41% in my study, when you add these countries to a U.S. portfolio, which was formerly a U.S. portfolio, you reduce the variance of the portfolio to some extent. But I've also looked at the portfolios of countries in emerging stock markets. And these economies are much different from the U.S. economy, in that the industrial structure is different, they're at a different stage of economic development, their trading patterns are different. And it turns out that their correlations are much lower than the correlations that you find between U.S. markets and other developed markets. So it turns out that some of these emerging countries have zero or negative correlation with U.S. equity returns and European equity returns. Hence, when you put one of these countries into your portfolio, and even if you assign a fairly small weight to it, it serves to reduce the variance of the overall portfolio. And this leads to, for some people at least, kind of a paradoxical result. You think of investing in an emerging market as a very risky proposition. That the economy is fragile, there could be political unrest, it can be subject to natural disaster. And it is true that if I simply take all of my eggs and put them into one basket, which might be Mexico, and I hold 100% Mexico, that is a risky proposition. Because who knows what will happen. Maybe December 1994 will happen again. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a diversified world portfolio. And if you add, even to a small extent, some of these emerging markets into that diversified world portfolio, you actually reduce the risk of your portfolio. Because these markets move often in opposite directions to developed markets, you can reduce the variance of your portfolio. And this is one of the main attractions to investing in emerging markets, this ability to reduce the variance of the portfolio. And this is just an application of the theory of diversification.